All right, hello everybody. I am Colby,
And I'm Channing.
and welcome to the second episode of the Spoilers Podcast Video Game Edition. Today's video game we're going to take a look at is Minecraft, one of the best-selling video games of all time, if not the best-selling video game of all time. And where do we begin? Let's just see what we got.
I think so. If I'm not mistaken, I may have heard this, but I think people have said that it's sold almost 1 billion copies. Like that.
Yeah.
That might be like way out of the league, but I heard something like that.
I mean, I'd be kind of mixed between surprised and not surprised because like the surprise part is that 1 billion copies is a lot. The not surprised part is that Minecraft is already popular as it is. You know.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But still, Minecraft is a large game, and both in terms of how many people have played it, and just as a game in general, you know, just as a big game. We have a lot to talk about potentially. Oh, all right. So the first topic we have here is building.
Yeah. So the cool thing about Minecraft is that it allows for almost or nearly infinite creativity, and that's like the biggest part about Minecraft that I think is appealing to everyone is the fact that you can be creative with everything you do in it, and no other place, very few other games are able to reach this level of creativity that's required to play the game, and not even just required. You can play the game however you want, and that part of that creativity comes in when you're building stuff. So if you guys don't know, you can basically pick up any kind of matter in the world, which are blocks, and you can use that to create whatever you want to build with. And then you're also able to create new things with the resources you find in the world and build with those things as well. And again, the main thing that really draws everyone to this game is the creativity involved with it. Colby, you have anything to say?
All right, so yeah, I definitely think you said that really well, actually, Channing. I definitely think the creativity is a excellent aspect of Minecraft, all in all. And of course, it differs depending on like whether you're doing survival, creative, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, the creativity, regardless of what you do, is just definitely dependent on you. And of course, I definitely feel like building is a great example of that. Like, for example, like you can like build the Empire State Building or something if you wanted to. You could build, at least if you have the right materials, if you're using survival, or you could just build like a shack or something. Build Shrek's house if you're in a swamp biome, whatever. You know, I mean, the limit is your imagination, and I know it's been said a lot of times for like a lot of games, but I don't think any other game has done it better than Minecraft, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, and I think again, like along with the creativity, the other thing that makes it so enjoyable is the choice aspect, and I think that goes for any video game. That's what sets video games above, or not in all cases, but I think in many cases, what sets video games above things like books or movies or things that can tell stories is that video games have choice, and choice is just that it's that big part of just gaming in general, the gaming culture, and how it plays into Minecraft, and how you can play with choice in Minecraft, and you're able to craft and make whatever you want in the game, and creativity and choice all play into that.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's building is definitely a great part of Minecraft. I personally enjoy building, even though whenever I want to build something really cool, I have to refer to a YouTube tutorial to actually do it, because I kind of like my brain doesn't like to process that sort of thing. So I'm just like, screw it, I'm just gonna go to a YouTube video. Why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do the same thing too.
But like that creativity, either way, it's still up to you. For example, when I was at a friend's house, I think it was like 2 months ago, I was like, all right, what should I build in this case? And I decided to build Kami's Lookout from Dragon Ball Z, in which case I still had to go to a YouTube tutorial to know how to build that as little as possible, with little time as possible, but still, you know, you're able to do that somehow.
Yeah, and one of the coolest things about Minecraft in the crafting part is the world that you craft in. So you were just talking about the thing that you were building. Now, where do you craft it in? You build that in the huge, massive world that you play in. Now, I believe, if I'm not wrong, that the computer, or actually I think all the versions now, have procedurally generated worlds, basically. Am I correct in saying that, Colby?
Yeah, it's like you mean like randomly generated worlds, right?
Yeah, randomly generated worlds.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's been like that for a while now, and like what I like about it is that it really like goes outside of what usually it goes out in an open, usually like an average open world game. Like usually an open world game is like a fixed world that doesn't really give much replayability once you actually like do everything you can in it. But with the case of Minecraft, you can like just like start a new file, and it's almost like a whole new experience, because it's like you're in a brand new world, if you know what I mean. I mean, granted, like all the other stuff is still there, like, you know, the features and all that, but like the world itself is randomly generated, and that gives more replayability.
Yeah, and that replayability is just where I think we were talking about earlier, is just the choice of the game.
Yeah.
In that the amount of choice is like exponentially multiplied, just because of all of the chances that you have to create completely new worlds every single time you press create a world, which I think is one of my favorite parts of the game, because to be honest, I'm a big sucker for open world games. I love those games like Breath of the Wild, Skyrim, Fallout, all those games. It really works in Minecraft, and it just gives a massive open world feeling to the game that is very hard to create in a lot of other games.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see that sort of thing in the game. Yeah, and again, it really adds to replayability, and of course, what another thing that is very interesting is that well, actually, I'm not even sure if I want to address that for like, say, for like the biome section of the podcast or not.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
I was gonna discuss the Nether in the end, but I'm not entirely sure if that would count as like a biome, since like you're entering Portal on both occasions.
Actually, let's just transition over into that. How about that?
All right, that's fair enough. All right, so now we're talking about the biomes, which really adds to the exploration because of those different types of things. It's not like you're just walking on the grass all the time. Like there's like jungles, deserts, the Arctic lands. There's a bunch of types of places, and actually no, yeah, Channing.
Yeah, and that gives you all those different places, give you freedom and choice, and it's really cool because those biomes basically play into the crafting part, because you can only find certain kinds of blocks in those biomes, which is really interesting. And that makes it so that there's also a bit of a challenge to the game, in that you have to find those materials and blocks in those types of biomes if you want to be able to build those types of things. So for instance, if you're trying to build a certain color house and you want a certain kind of wood, you'll have to go to a certain kind of biome in order to get that certain kind of wood.
Yeah, and speaking of trying to find certain materials in a certain place, I think like the most recent update that was like, I think it was like last year, was the Nether update, which of course I think you already know where this is going. We're transitioning to the Nether. Like the Nether is it's basically hell, but like you know.
It's basically the underworld.
Blocky. Yeah, it's basically hell. I'm not even sure if we're allowed to say that on the podcast, but I mean, it's very minor, so who knows? But yeah, it's basically like that. And what I really like about it is that like it really feels like that's the case. And I have a feeling that and of course with the new update, I guess, and all the other stuff that's been added even before that update, it gives you more of a reason to actually go to that place, and that's what I really like about it.
Yeah, and then again, like going back to those two things that make a video game interesting for me is choice and challenge. Finding and getting to the Nether is a challenge in of itself. One, because you actually have to figure out how to do it. Now, disclaimer: most people know how to do it, so it's not that much of a challenge anymore, just because everyone understands it. And I imagine the devs probably gave some hints as to how to do it. But once everyone found it, you know, most everyone knows how to do it, and it's kind of common knowledge for Minecraft players. But once the challenge is then working up to be able to build those materials required to get to the Nether. In this case, you're required to build obsidian, or use obsidian to build a portal. Now that portal then brings you to the Nether, but in order to get the obsidian, you have to have the highest level pickaxe possible, which is a diamond pickaxe, for lack of better terms.
Yeah, and I do like that challenge, and transitioning from that with the challenge is what we like to call called the end, which I guess symbolizes this is like if you beat the Ender Dragon, you reach the credits of the game, which can kind of mean the end, but at the same time, you still have that freedom to do whatever you want to do, even after those credits roll. But even then, the end is a very fascinating place. It seems like it's the origin of where the Endermen are. It introduces the Ender Dragon, and on top of that, I think it was like there was like an update like at least 5 years ago, I think, that like as like an expansion to the end, like to explore like other parts of the end besides that little island like place where you beat the Ender Dragon.
Yeah, I believe they put fortresses down. That's right.
Yeah, that's what they're called, fortresses.
Yeah.
And of course, when you go to the fortresses, you find something called an elytra, which is like basically wings. Like you can like if you use like fireworks while you're using the elytra, like it's kind of like a glider when you use it. But if you use fireworks, and like it boosts yourself up, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I personally,
really
I haven't. It's really sad, but I have never actually beaten an Ender Dragon. Actually, I may have. I'm not quite sure. I've never really placed much stock in like the whole beating Minecraft part. I mean, I've enjoyed a whole bunch of like the just the actual stuff of Minecraft, but less like the beating the Ender Dragon part and finishing the game. So I am more like I'm kind of a finisher kind of person with most other games. One of those games, Dark Souls. I love Dark Souls. I'm still playing the third one, but the Minecraft game, I'm not completely huge on finishing it, but I personally have never gotten those wings.
Yeah. It's quite a challenge to do that. When you're in survival, at least I know that if you like go beat the Dragon in creative, it's basically cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
And now that you did that, we might as well transition over to survival versus creative.
I think the next section was actually mobs. We were going to save survival creative for last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the next section for mobs. Yeah, that was a weird transition, but whatever.
Viewers, I apologize.
Okay. Mobs. Let's talk about mobs, all right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I remember that in the initial version of the game, there was only like pigs, cows, and wait, were there creepers? I'm pretty sure there were creepers in the first version of the game.
Creepers.
I'm almost positive there were.
Yeah, they were.
And I'm definitely missing some original mobs there, but either way, the mob like count has definitely increased since that first version. Like we have bees now. And seeing that today still feels weird.
Yeah, no, and in the sort of, so for most of you who have never played the game or don't really understand much about the game, the mobs are the AI entities in the game. So that means whether they're friendly animals or bad monsters. So usually the mobs focus as either your enemies or a chance at gaining resources are the two different things. So for instance, if you find a cow, you can get meat from the cow, or if you're able to kill a zombie or a skeleton or something of that ilk, then you get like a bone or rotted flesh, or in all of those monsters, in that case, you get experience for it. And experience does stuff later down the line. But go ahead, Colby.
And I know that there's like certain like things you can do with like particular mobs. Like for example, with a wolf, if you give it a bone or like the right kind of bone, I think, or if you just give it a bone in general, I don't remember which. You can actually keep the wolf as like a little pet. I think it gives like a little collar as well, which is very interesting. But however, if you hit a wolf, if punch a wolf when you don't give him a bone, he just attacks you. So I really like that. I really like that you can do that sort of thing. And I'm pretty sure there's like at least like one or two more that are like that that have like those like unique features that I'm missing out. But usually the difference is usually there are those two types between like regular mobs that you get from resources and enemies that you fight to defend yourself. Really.
Yeah. And again, these are the things that basically populate the game, that make the game interesting. They're basically outside of the building and crafting aspects of the game. They're the things that really make the game give the game the challenge it has. And
exactly.
Yeah. And so for monsters, they usually spawn at night, and regular creatures, they're usually around all the time. It's very base. So one of the things, actually, this is something that I just thought of. The whole idea of those mobs is very interesting because it's a very basic concept in how it's in like on paper, but in practice they go for the less is more idea in the sense that the like each mob has their own feature and their own material that they give if you destroy it or kill it or something like that, and they each serve their own purpose, and it makes the game so that it's not overly bloated, but it's also populated enough that you get interesting encounters and stuff like that.
Exactly. And of course, like the whole mob thing and the challenge and all that, that is if you are playing on survival. Now, creative, it can be a whole other story. And of course, this is what we were bringing up before we went to the mob section, before we kind of messed up like that. So let's transition to that final topic. Survival, basically, you have a health bar. You explore like on your own. You have a hunger bar too. Survive everything. Creative is a whole different story. No health bar, no hunger bar. I don't think you can die unless you fall through the world itself. Like if you like dig straight down enough, I guess. But unless I'm wrong about that, actually. Yeah, actually, I am wrong about that. I think you just fall infinitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my bad. But really, it's definitely interesting that they have that mode there for the people that don't really like that sort of survival instinct and would rather just build whatever they want. And of course, they have specific sayings for those kind of people, like the flat world sayings, like disabling mobs and all that stuff. And I'm not sure if you like that much of a creative guy yourself, Channing, because I'm pretty sure you usually play in survival mode yourself.
Yeah, I'm usually a survival kind of guy.
And which is weird because I usually play creative. I'm not much of I respect survival a lot, but I'm just not the kind of guy that would like sit through for so long for playing survival. When I could mess up any time. It's times that kind of thing, When it gives me that kind of anxiety that's kind of unique to Minecraft,
Yeah.
I'm guessing just worked it that way, But
and I think
but really it's right. Yeah, you
yeah, and so like one of the things that I think is really interesting about it is the again like the choice and challenge idea of making a video game good, is that Minecraft has the challenge in both creative and survival, because when you're in creative, the challenge comes very artificially from the sense of you have to survive and don't die. So it's a very obvious sort of challenge. But in creative, the challenge comes from yourself, and you challenge yourself to build things.
Yeah, like the limits to your imagination. You use that imagination to do what you feel like is the best thing to do, and that's why I really like about creative too. And of course, what you said about survival is what I really like about survival too.
Yeah, and survival and creative, like man, they're both sort of two halves of the same coin, and they both work really well within the game. So again, I think those are all the topics that we were going to cover. So without further ado, I think it's time that we close it out. Colby, you have anything else to say?
Yeah, hopeful. We actually just as a little announcement, we added a new member for the club, Jack, and hopefully we can have him for the next episode if he has enough time. But again, this has been Spoilers Video Game Edition podcast, episode 2 for Minecraft, and we'll see you in the third episode.
Stay tuned, guys. See ya.